Hello, this is Congressman Robert Pittenger. Thank you for giving me the privilege of serving you in the United States Congress. I want to speak to you today about something that I find deeply concerning. The United States is in the midst of a serious crisis. It is not Russian collusion, as the liberal media wants you to think. No, the real crisis is the federal government's out-of-control and unaccountable spending habit, which is pushing our country towards a fiscal cliff. Every year, Washington spends billions of dollars more than it takes in. The United States is now $20 trillion in debt. We are still borrowing $1 million every single minute. Not only is this reckless and irresponsible, but it is also very dangerous. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Michael Mullen, warned that America's debt is our most significant national security threat. And it's easy to see why. 6.5% of our annual budget is being spent on interest payments just for our debt. That is hundreds of billions of dollars every year that should be going towards our national defense, securing our borders, and taking care of our veterans and our elderly. Furthermore, we are running up an insurmountable bill that our children will be forced to pay. This is wrong and immoral. For too long, there has been an utter lack of government fiscal responsibility and accountability. Millions of American families are forced to make tough decisions to stay within their means. Why should the government act any different? Washington needs to tighten its belt and get its fiscal house in order, and that starts with cutting spending. The good news is we know how to do it. Just a few months ago, my conservative colleagues in the House of Representatives joined me in passing a budget for 2018 that included over $1 trillion in spending cuts. These cuts were common sense and responsible. For example, we passed a Medicaid work requirement for able-bodied participants, which will save taxpayers $112 billion over 10 years. Since 2000, Medicaid spending on able-bodied adults has skyrocketed by 700%. We are a generous and compassionate nation, but the safety net is being exploited. We also voted to require a valid Social Security number in order to receive the child tax credit, saving taxpayers $28 billion by ending payments to illegal immigrants. In the coming days, as Congress debates another government funding measure, I strongly urge my colleagues to include these vital spending cuts so that we can finally put our country back on a fiscally responsible track. My entire record of public service is built on pro-family and fiscal conservative leadership. Prior to joining the U.S. House of Representatives, I served from 2003 to 2008 in the North Carolina Senate, where I identified over $1.5 billion in spending cuts. And frankly, I was ranked the most conservative member of the North Carolina Senate. As your congressman, I brought that same focus to Washington, working with President Trump to slash wasteful spending and returning that money to hardworking American families, small business owners, and job creators. Paying off our mammoth national debt and eliminating wasteful spending will finally put America back on a responsible fiscal path, and in so doing, ensuring the protection of liberty and opportunity for future generations of Americans. Despite what you hear, or may not hear, from the liberal media, my conservative colleagues and I are committed to restoring some much-needed fiscal sanity to Washington. I'm truly honored to serve as your representatives. Please call my offices if there's anything that we can do for you. Thank you. God bless you, and Merry Christmas.